Buongiorno a tutti, bentornati sul mio canale. In questo nuovo video vedremo domande in inglese per le prove preselettive delle concorsi della pubblica amministrazione, in particolar modo per il concorso 1858 posti INPS. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word in the brackets in and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. My attendant will follow with our luggage. La parola è several. Choose the alternative which is closest making to the word in brackets and which does not change the meaning of sentence. One of the players broke his leg. La risposta è competitors. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word in brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. She remembered seeing a man outside the shop that night. La risposta è recalled. Choose the alternative which is closest making to the word in the brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. The man thought his back moving, having tables. La parola è journeyed. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word in brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. The Milky Way and other similar spiral galaxies contain stars of various ages. La risposta è different. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word in brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. The question is irrelevant. La risposta è inappropriate. Choose the alternative which the closest in making to the word in brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. We spent the Sunday on the couch watching TV. La risposta è sofa. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word in square brackets and which does not change the making of sentence. She remembered seeing a man outside the shop that night. La risposta è recalled. Choose the alternative which is closest in meaning to the word in the square brackets and which does not change the meaning of sentence. This technique is pretty outdated. La risposta è old-fashioned. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word in square brackets and which does not change the meaning of sentence. We asked a man where the bank was, but he didn't answer. La risposta è reply. Choose the alternative which is closest in meaning to the word or words in the brackets and which does not change the meaning of sentence. He is a very reliable person. La risposta è dependable. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word or words in brackets and which does not change the making of the sentence. He looked everywhere in his room but could find his keys. I suppose they weren't able to. Choose the alternative which the closest in making to the words or words in the brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. Jim used to be married to an Indian. I suppose they was once. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word of words in square brackets and which does not change the making of the sentence. I shall complete the task fulfilled. I suppose that I at once. Choose the alternative which closest in the making to the word of words in square brackets and which does not change the making of sentence. The muffled sounds increased as I suppose I muted. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the word of words in square brackets and which does not change the making of sentence. The boys scrambled up the slope. I suppose they clambered. Choose the alternative which is closest in making to the words in brackets and which does not change the making of the following sentence. I'd rather not go to that restaurant tonight. Let's go somewhere different. I suppose I'd prefer not to go to else. Choose with the closest to the word in brackets and which does not change the making of the following sentence. I'd rather to not go to the restaurant tonight. Let's go somewhere different. I suppose that I'd prefer not to go to else. Choose the alternative which is closest the making of the words in the brackets and which does not change the making of following sentence. Need was severely reprimanded by his boss for his miserable performance in marketing. I suppose I hallooed over the call. Choose the alternative which is closest in making into the words in brackets and which does not change the making of sentence. I did expect that film to be so good. I suppose they think it would be. Choose the alternative which is closest in the meaning to the words in the brackets and which does not change the making of sentence. I did expect the film to be so good. I suppose the thing would be. Choose the alternative which is closest its meaning to the words in brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. If you want to get dinner, you'd better be careful to eat less fattening foods. I suppose I go on a diet. Choose the alternative which is closest in meaning to the words in brackets and which does not change the making of sentence. If you want to get dinner, you'd better go on a diet. I suppose they keep to a diet. Choose the alternative which discloses meaning to words in brackets and which does not change the meaning of sentence. It was an endless list of terrible events. Risposta never ending. Choose the alternative which is closest in meaning to the words in brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. It was an endless list of terrible events. Risposta è never ending. Choose the alternative which is closest in the meaning to the words in brackets and which does not change in the meaning of sentence. Jim used to be married to an Indian. Risposta was once. Choose the alternative which is closest in meaning to the word of brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. She looks good now that she has lost weight. Risposta slim it down. Slim it down. Choose the alternative which is closest in meaning to the word in the brackets and which does not change the meaning of the sentence. The driver is sorry about the accident. He regrets what happened very much. La risposta è really regrets what happened. Il video di oggi termina qua. Per vedere altri miei video iscriviti al canale e attiva la campanella delle notifiche.